E for One podcast. It's Anthony, AP. Make sure you do two things. Like this vid and also, most importantly, subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching. Now, Batman versus Superman. That movie was obviously a mistake looking at it in hindsight some 7 years. I can't even remember how many years we've been removed from the film off the top of my head. But even when the film came out, yes, I thought the film was a mistake. There were certain elements I did like about the film. Trust me, there was. But there were a lot more elements that I didn't like. And actually, the screenwriter of Man of Steel, David S. Goyer, goes on to further prove my point and explain why Batman versus Superman, The Dawn of Justice, was a mistake. He goes on to say in an interview that's literally been all over social media over the last 24 hours that him and pretty much Zack Snyder, who directed the film, they were pressured into building a cinematic universe to compete with Marvel after the Man of Steel. That's common knowledge. I think we all can go on to say that that's pretty much why Batman versus Superman was rushed right after Man of Steel. And he also goes on to say Warner Brothers was saying that we need our MCU. We need our MCU. At one point, they pitched 20 movies over the next 10 years, but none of them had been written yet. It was crazy how much architecture was being built on air. This is not how you build a house, he goes on to say in that quote. So pretty much what he was saying was, yeah, they tried to build a cinematic universe off of fluff, off of nothing. And I don't know how factual this picture is right here that I'm laying out, but I found this picture and this slate of films that were supposed to come out between 2016 and 2020 online yesterday while I was doing my research. And as you can see, Batman v Superman was the first film, and it goes on to show the onslaught of films that were supposed to come out in the whole DCEU as we knew it. The Aquaman film, Flash film, Shazam, Justice League Part 2, Green Lantern reboot, Cyborg film. And most of these films actually came into fruition, like Suicide Squad, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Flash, but most of them didn't. I mean, half of them did, half of them didn't. And it just goes back to just express and show his quotes, how much of slop and how much of a hard time the DC and W, how much of a mess, let's just call it for what it is, how much of a mess that DC and Warner Brothers has been in the last couple of years. I thought Man of Steel, like I said, it had its elements and its good moments in it, but overall, some of the things that I just couldn't make it past in the film is that the film was just so dark. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong here. I don't want to see Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles type action type elements put in the DCU. I don't want to see Marvel, the elements of comedy and humor like Thor, Love and Thunder and Ant-Man. I don't want to see that level of humorous moments put in the DC universe, DCEU formerly. I think that I like the contrast in DC films versus Marvel because DC are more of a serious tone and a little bit more of a darker tone. But that film in particular was just too dark. It was dark as hell. I mean, the film visually was dark, and the storyline and the plot was just a very, very depressing film. Jesse Einsberg as Lex Luthor, he really was pretty much non-threatening to me. He wasn't a threatening figure. I don't know if Gene Hackman's Lex Luthor from years ago, 35 years ago, was a threatening figure in the original Superman series with Christopher Reeve, but I just didn't get those evil, sinister vibes from him. You know, he reminded me of a Mark Zuckerberg more than a Lex Luthor. The dream sequences in the film, they were shot visually very well, but they were just very confusing, going from real time to dream sequences. Here's another example. It just felt like too many movies forced into one film. We had a Wonder Woman film, we had a Superman film, we had a Batman film, then we had a Justice League film. It was just too much jumbled into one film. Why in the hell was Metropolis right across the bay, right across the water from Gotham City? Metropolis is not supposedly, Metropolis is supposed to be technically New York City, whereas Gotham is supposed to technically be Chicago, which means that those two cities are a nice little distance away, not literally right across the water from each other, like how you might have Buffalo, New York is right across the water, Lake Ontario from Toronto, or how San Francisco is right next to a bridge over from Oakland, California. Metropolis and and Gotham City should have never been that close. That plot line really irked the hell out of me. Martha, Martha, Martha. The world's greatest detective, we all know, is Batman, Bruce Wayne, Batman. How is it that the world's greatest detective had no idea that Superman, Clark Kent's mother, was named Martha until the plot line needed it to be that way? That was just something that was just, I think we all have made a mocking of that Martha scene and that incident throughout the last 7 years since that film has came out. But anyway, let me know in the comment section. I really want to know what you think about it. Was Batman v Superman a mistake? I know a lot of people liked it. I mean, like I said, I partially liked it, but there were more things that irked me about it than my actual likeness of the film. But let me know in the comment section. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you for watching E for One, the Entertainment for One podcast. Peace.